Hello, everyone, and welcome to our website admin training workshop. My name is Ryan Clancy, and I'm the Client Success Manager here at Educational Networks, and I am very excited to have you joining us today for our presentation. Before we get started, we have a little bit of a game plan. We're going to start our training session off today by showing you how you can log into our all-new CMS3. We'll then have the opportunity to see how CMS3 makes it easy to find everything you need to edit your website. After that, we'll dive right into our live demos. We'll take a look at news, calendars, rotating images, how to work with the new page editor, and also how to work with user profiles. And from there, we'll talk about resources that are available to you here, how to reach out to tech support, as well as other resources as well. All right, everyone, let's go ahead and get started. The great thing is with CMS3, logging in is very easy to do because you're able to log in right on the live site. Here's how we want to do that. What we want to do first is we want to pull up that login window. And how you do that, it differs based on the type of computer you're using. If you're using a Windows computer, what you'll want to do is you want to double click the control key on your keyboard. If you're using a Mac, you'll want to go in and you'll want to double click the command key. So I go in and I double click command. And once I do that, I'll see that I have our login window to use. So I log in. And as soon as I log in, what I'll notice we have here is this toolbar. Now it's through this toolbar that I have everything I need to edit the website. Let's take a look at it. Starting over on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll notice that you'll have either your profile photo or a profile icon. When you click on this, this is going to give you access to everything you'll need to edit information for your account. I go in and I click my account, and what I'll see here is I'll see where my profile photo is located, where I can replace that. Also, if you haven't added a profile photo, where you can go in and upload that. Also, too, where you can go in and change your password. And if you click update, you can access other information to change, such as your email address. Right next to that, you'll also notice that you have this grid icon. Now, this grid icon is important because it does give you access to key areas of the website. This includes our help desk, where you can send a ticket to our tech support team. Also, settings as well. This is where you can go, for example, and connect your website to social media. By doing that, you can allow your website to make posts to your social media channels. If we look over to the left, we'll notice that we have a hamburger button on this side of the screen. Now, when we click on this, this is where we're going to spend the vast majority of our time editing our website. Making it easier to edit our website, everything's now categorized, so it makes it easier to find exactly what you're looking to add to or to change. Looking at this here, starting with information and going all the way down to website admin, this is where you're editing the main parts of the website. Now, going back over to information and photos and multimedia, this is where we're going to find approximately about 90% of our home page. Let's go in and take a look at that. Looking here, what we're going to see is we have news and announcements, we have calendars, we also have our spotlight feature, photo album, we have our video gallery, we also have our bulletin board, links, and if I scroll up towards the top, we have rotating images as well as a marquee too. The great thing is, though, is your website gives you access to other wonderful features. If we go back to the hamburger button, we'll find a category called operations. This is where you can, for example, find our forms feature. You can go in and create web forms on your website. Anything from a field trip permission slip, PTA sign-up sheet, surveys as well. Cool thing is it uses a drag and drop construction format that allows you to build a new form very, very quickly. Right after that, we'll have sections where you can go in and edit sections and pages. Now, the cool thing is there's a new way that you can go in and edit pages as well. And that is with CMS3, now you're able to go in and you can edit content right on the page itself. Also, this gives you access to a variety of new formatting options as well. This includes tables, content blocks for quotes, photos, as well as text, of course, too. Now, when you go in and create a page, such as a department page, maybe the athletics page or the music department page, chances are you're going to want to give your staff members access to edit that page. You may want to make it so a staff member is in charge of editing that page. You're able to go ahead and do that and work with other user profile settings by going over to People and clicking Users. The great thing is about your website is it is very, very flexible with the access that you grant your staff to edit the site. You can give someone access to 1 module, 10 modules, 1 page, 10 pages, or you can request via a tech support ticket that they be designated as a website admin. Finally, we have where we can go in and make changes to our navigation menu, access the file manager, and also set up merchant accounts as well. All right, everyone. Now that we've had a chance to tour our admin site, let's see how easily we can add new content. Let's start by taking a look at news and announcements. Now, news and announcements is a fantastic part of your website. As website admins, it's also important because when you add to news and announcements, a lot of other features on the website are very, very similar to this. We're going to see in just a moment how adding to news is just a matter of filling out a form. And that's something that we have all had the chance to do. An example of that is perhaps ordering groceries online or booking a plane ticket as an example. But it's also important because of its visibility, and it does make great use of that visibility. Let's go in and take a look at this here. The great thing about news is that you have the opportunity with it to be able to post a cover photo as well as a summary right on your home page as well. So it really is a fantastic part of your website. And one reason being is the vast majority of your web traffic is going to come through on your home page. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Let's say as an example that our football team won the state championship. Step number 1 to add to news and announcements is to go in and to go over to our hamburger button. Then from here to head over to information and click news. What we then do is we go in and we select add news. And essentially all we're doing here is we're filling out a form. As a matter of fact, I always say to our schools that once you learn news and announcements, it's like you've learned 60% of the site. So our first step here is we need to choose a category. In this case, I'd like to go in and add it to our main news and announcements category. Now I need to write out our headline. So in this case, I'll type in congrats to our football team on their championship win. Perfect. What that brings us to next is going to be the summary. Now, because the summary is going to be on our home page, this is a great place, for example, if you're announcing an upcoming event, to put those important event details, date, time, and location. If we're announcing a policy change, this is a great place to place those most important points from that to ensure that they are very, very visible. But in this case, we're talking about an event that's already happened, so I'm going to share some of the cool details from that. So it'll be just one moment. I'm just going to go over to where I have this stored. I'm just going to copy this in, then paste this in. Perfect. What that brings us to is where we can go in and we can write out our main news story. Now, the text editor that you're seeing here, this is a very important part of your site. It's a very common part of your site. It works the same as any other text editor. You know, you have your formatting options. You can even go in and add links as well. One thing that's particularly important about this here is that if you are going to copy and paste your text in here and you do only want to put text in here, what you want to make sure to do first is switch this to plain text. And the reason you want to do that is it's going to make sure that your news article that it loads correctly for parents and students. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to copy this, I'm going to paste this in. And once I've done that, I do have these formatting options that are available to me. In this case, I think something that would be helpful is we're going to add a horizontal rule. So that'll be something that'll be in between where the headline and summary are. So it'd be in between the headline, summary, and then the news story. After that, we have where we can go in and we can add attachments. It's important to remember the same way that you add files to your news articles, perhaps a flyer or even a photo, the same way that you add files here is going to be the same way that you add files to an email. So in this case, I'm going to share a photo. So I go in and I click Choose File. I'm going to locate where those photos are going to be. So it'll be just a moment while I find those here. See it here. Click Open. Now with news and announcements, there's something really cool that we can do with this. We can go in, we can click on this image, and what happens here is that gray border is telling me that this photo, by clicking on it, is now set as the cover photo for this news article. It'll appear on the home page with our headline and summary. So as we've seen here, everyone, adding to news and announcements has been just a matter of going in and filling out a form. We have one more step here. So on this site, we've connected it to Facebook and Twitter. So what that means is for modules such as news and announcements, we can share content from here over to our social media. Now, to post content to Facebook and Twitter, all we got to do is just check these boxes. It is specific content. What it is posting there is going to be the headline, summary, as well as the cover photo as well. Our last step here is to go in and click Save. And when we do this, now this is going to be posted to our site, and also we're posting this specific content over to our Facebook and Twitter channels. I click Save. And we go back now over to our home page and we refresh it. And we can see that we've added on our brand new article. So we see our headline, summary, and then I can click on this as well to view the main details for our news story. Now that we've had a chance to see how easily we can add to news and announcements, let's go in and see how easy it is to add a new event to the Calendars module. Just like news, Calendars is a very important part of your website. It's a very visible part of your site, and it also has the ability to go in and to post important information right on the home page. We see that here, how we have the date, the time, and the location of an upcoming event. Now, adding to it is just a matter of filling out a form, just like news and announcements. Step number one, we go over to the hamburger button, we go to Information, then what we do is we click Calendars. Once we do that, we go in and we select Add Event, and we simply fill out the form. So let's say, as an example, that we're planning our first PTA meeting of the year. What I do is I just go in, I enter in the title, so I'll type in PTA meeting, and then I'll go in and put in the date and time for this. So we'll say it's going to be on the 22nd. For the time, we're going to say it's going to be about 2 hours. So we'll say it'll be from 6 p.m. until 8 p.m. Perfect. And for the location, you know what? Let's go ahead and say this is going to be in the gym. So I type this in, and what that brings us to is where we can add the description of the event. So we see that same exact text editor we saw with news and announcements. In this case, I am going to copy and paste this information in. So before I do that, I make sure that I first switch this to plain text. And I just go over to where I have this stored and I copy it. What I then do is I paste this in. Perfect. Now, after that, we have where it says attachments. So just like news, we have where we can add files to this. Just like news as well, the same way that you add files here is also going to be how you're going to go in and add files to an email. So we could definitely use this to add perhaps PDFs of field trip permission slips, maybe information about the PTA meeting. But in this case, let's add a photo. So to do that, I go in and I click Choose File. I find the image I want to add on, so we'll say this one here, and I just click Open. After we do that, we also have where we can share this to social media. And in an important event like this, definitely something we want to go ahead and share. So just the same as with news and announcements, I check these boxes. I now go in and I click Save. We refresh the page. And we can see now that we successfully added on our PTA meeting to the calendar. And if I want to view more information for this, I just click on the headline. And I'm able to view the important event details. Now that we've had a chance to see how easily we can add to news and calendars, let's take a look at rotating images. This is different. Instead of filling out a form, the website will walk us through the steps to add a new photo. Something that's important to note about rotating images is that it's best to use either group photos or landscape style photos. Let's take a look. Our first step to add a photo is to go over to the hamburger button, and then from here to go in and to head right over to Photos and Multimedia, and then to select rotating images. Once we do that, we want to find the rotator we want to add to, and I click Add Images. I then go in, click Choose Files. I find the image I'm looking for that I want to add, and I click Open. Once I've done that, I can click on the photo, and I can make adjustments to it, including to the zoom, as well as how the image is framed as well. Once I'm finished with that, I go in and I click Apply. And I also have the option to adjust where this is on the feed. So in this case, I'm going to move this towards the front of the feed. What I can now do is I can go in, I can click out of the module, I refresh my page, and I see now we've successfully added on our brand new image. Much of the content on your website is going to be found on your sections and pages. Sections and pages can be anything from your supply list pages to entire department pages, such as for your music department. CMS3 makes editing and creating these pages easier than ever before. If we go to, for example, our mission statement page, we're able to go in now and edit content right on the page itself. Also, we have a variety of new content blocks available to us. Let's say, for example, we want to add a photo. To do that, I right-click in the existing content block, and then I can select either Insert Above or Insert Below. In this case, I'm going to select Insert Below. I find the content block that I want to add, so in this case, we use the one that says Photo in the center. And even adding the photos is very easy to do too. I find the photo that I'm looking for, and all I need to do is I click, drag, and drop. And we're able to see now that we successfully added on a new image. We also have the ability to go in and even adjust the spacing between content blocks. I can do that by bringing my mouse over to the top of this content block, and I can bring it down up to 20 pixels. In this case, we'll set this to 15 pixels. Once I finish adding this photo, all I need to do now is just go in and click Save. Let's take a look at the steps involved with creating a new athletic department page from scratch. What we'll do is we'll start by going to the hamburger button and then going to sections. Anytime we are starting a new section from scratch, we will always start from this menu. In this case, I'm going to add our new athletic department page under extra sections. I then click Add Section, enter in the title, I then go in and I click Save. I find it's easiest to start working on our new section by going back through extra sections and finding our way back to it. I click Athletics, and our next step is to add a page to go in and to add our content to. I'll start by going in and clicking Add Page, and I see we have these wonderful options for pages. To go in and use the new page editor, I want to keep it on our default option of Other, and I just enter in the page title. After I do that, I'll go in and I'll click Create Page. And once we do that, we are brought directly into the page editor. Once we're in the page editor, we'll notice that we have a content block that is ready for us to use. A content block that has been specifically created for text. That being said, we don't have to use this. We can add on a different content block that will perhaps be designed for photos. In this case, though, we are going to use this. I'm going to add an introduction to Green Tech's athletics department. I go to where I have that stored, and I copy it. Now I'm ready to paste this in. I'll notice, though, that when I right-click inside of the content block, that there isn't an option for me to copy or to paste. That's okay. We're still able to do both. Since we're pasting, what we'll want to do here is if we're using a PC, we want to go in and we want to click Control V. If we're using a Mac, we want to go in and we want to click Command V. For copying, we click Control C for PC or Command C for Macs. So I go in this case, since we're pasting in, I click Command V. And once I've done that, I'll see that I've successfully added the content on. I'll also notice too that if I highlight over this, that I have a variety of different formatting options that are available to me here. One of these formatting options is a great tool to help your page be more accessible. And that option is the ability to change the type of text that you're using, to be able to go in and to use headings. Let's take a closer look. So I'll say as an example, we want to add on a title for the page here. I'll type in Green Tech Athletics. I highlight over this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this to heading 1. Now generally, you're going to want to reserve heading 1 for titles. What we want to do as we're adding headings is we want to make sure we go in order. What happens is a screen reading program will allow the person using the program to use these headings to essentially tab to different parts of the page. Let's go in and add on another section here. I'm going to type in mission statement. I highlight over this, Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to switch this to heading 2. I go over to where I have this stored, and just as before, I'm going to copy and paste this in. And to do that, I go in and I click Command V to paste this content in. Perfect. Let's go in and add an area here for documents. So the same thing, I'm going to add on essentially another heading. So in essence, when we're doing this, we're creating sections on the page. So in this case, I'm going to type in helpful documents. Now it brings up an interesting question. Do we have to go to heading 3 for this next part of the page? It's an excellent question. We don't have to. So in this case, we can still set this to be heading 2. However, since we went to heading 2 here, we wouldn't necessarily want to go back up to heading 1. So I type in the name of the document I want to add, and this is actually something else here that's really, really cool. So I type in student athlete contract, and I highlight over this. I click the link icon, and this is a really neat way to be able to go in and to add documents. I switch this to document. I go to where I have this stored, and all I'm going to do from here is I'm going to click, drag, and drop. And by doing that, now we've gone in and we've linked that document to this text. Let's now go in and see the steps involved with adding a second page to our athletics section. Before we do that though, we want to make sure that we go in and we save our existing page. Now we're ready to add that on. To add on our new page, I go over to the blue triangle, and then I head to this section. After that, I select New Page. And I see that we have those wonderful options, calendars, photo albums. In this case though, I want to create this new page using the page editor, just as we did with before. We're going to create a page that introduces the athletic director. So I go in, I enter the title. So I'll type in Meet Coach Williams. After that, I select Create Page. Once we do that, it brings us right into our brand new page on our website. Just as with before, we have a content block that's ready for us to use. In this case though, we're going to go in and add on a different content block. To do that, I right click in the existing content block and I select either Insert Above or Insert Below. In this case, I'll select Insert Above. I find the content block I want to use and I click on it. Now I can go in and delete our old content block. I'm going to start by adding on the text we created for Coach Williams. So I'm going to start by going in and removing our placeholder text. And I'm just going to go to where I have our new text stored. I'm going to copy that. Now I'm ready to paste. So I want to remember to paste this in. I want to click Command V. Remember, if you're using a PC, you're going to click Control V. And once I've done that, I can see that we've successfully added on our new text. What we need to do now is we need to add on Coach Williams' photo. So I go to where I have this stored. I find the photo I want to add on here. I see this, and all I do is I'm just going to click, drag, and drop that in. Once I've done that, I can go in and I can resize the photo. Just want to make sure we have this focused on the coach. And we can go in and expand it out if we'd like to. Perfect. Our page for Coach Williams is looking pretty good, but there's a few more things that we can do here. A really cool tool that we have available to us is this button here that looks like an emoji. If I click on this, this looks over the page for us and it provides recommendations. In this case, it's suggesting that we enter in alt text to improve the accessibility on the page. Definitely something we can do. To do that, I right-click on the photo, select accessibility, and I select alt text. And I type in what I want to have it say. It's important that we describe exactly what's going on in the photo. So in this case, I can type something in such as Coach Williams greeting students. After I do that, I go in, I click apply. Now what I can do is I can click on the emoji button again. Our page is looked over again and we receive an indication that our page looks good. There's no further suggestions. Your website offers a lot of flexibility when it comes to granting your staff access to be able to edit either specific modules or specific pages. Let's take a closer look. To go in and to edit user profiles, I'll start by going to the hamburger button, and then from here go into people and selecting users. I'll notice on this page that we have users in red and also users in blue. Our users in red are going to be website admins, so they have access to edit everything that we've had a chance to see today. Our users in blue, on the other hand, their default access is to be able to log in and to be able to edit their profile, as well as being able to edit and create their own teacher and staff pages. That is unless we go in and we edit their user settings so they have access to edit other parts of the site. Let's take a closer look at this. Let's go in and look at Mr. Evans' profile. What I do is I go in and I click on his name. I then go in and I select Update. We'll first see where we can go in and update Mr. Evans' basic account information. And this includes key areas such as his email address. Also too, you'll find where you can go in and add your staff to the staff directory. You're able to do that right over here, this drop-down menu right by where it says Staff List. This area in essence is going to allow us to be able to go in and make changes to key information on Mr. Evans' account. Underneath this is where we're going to find where we can start granting him access to edit different parts of the website. And we start off with where we can go and give him access to those main modules on the website. So those main modules are going to include news, also to the navigation menu, photo album, and other important areas as well. This is where you're going to be able to go in and grant your staff access to edit most everything, with the exception of pages. Pages is a little bit different. It's actually right underneath here. What you'll notice with sections and pages is that you actually have two columns. You have edit access and staff, and both do different things. When you check the edit access box, that means when they log in, they're going to be able to edit that specific section on the website. When you check the staff box, it doesn't grant them access to edit that page on the website, but what it does do is it lists them as a staff member on that particular part of the website. This is going to hold true for academic departments, educational support, athletics, clubs and activities, and then of course, extra sections as well. We scroll down towards the bottom of the page and we have a couple of other options which are important to note. If you ever need to, you do have the option to either temporarily disable someone's profile or to delete them. Both of these options will make it so that this user is no longer able to log in, and then also they will no longer be listed on any of the directories on your website. Adding a new user is pretty much the same deal. We'll start by going to the hamburger button and then go into people. And after that, we select users. Once we do that, we go in and we select Add User. And like a lot of the rest of the site, adding a new user starts by going in and filling out a form. So you have 4 required fields. You need to go in and create a username for them, add in their first name and last name, and also create a password for them as well. Now, these are the required fields, but we also have fields that we suggest as well. And that includes going over to the staff list dropdown and adding them to the staff directory. Also, too, making sure to add on their email address. And this is important because if they forget their password, this is what's going to allow them to be able to go in and to reset that password. Just as we saw in Mr. Evans' profile, we see where we can give access to those main modules such as news and photo albums, but also too, where we can go in and we can give access to be able to edit specific sections on the website. We want to remember that edit access means they're able to make changes to that part of the website, whereas the staff checkbox, what that's going to do is that's going to make it so that they are listed there. Once we finish with creating the profile, all we need to do is click Save. We share the login information with our staff member, and they're going to be set to either start helping us out with the website or creating and editing their own teacher or staff page. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today for our training session. Before we conclude our training, I'd like to show you how to reach out to our tech support team. You have a couple of ways of doing this. One way is to go over to this grid icon and to select the help desk. On this next screen, you'll have the option to click Create a Ticket. Now, from here, what we'll do is we'll go in and we'll fill out the form. Now, your school may have more than one tech support option on the form here, just like Green Tech does. This would be specifically if you have internal tech support. So in this case, I want to make sure to select Educational Networks Technical Support to reach the EduNet Tech Support team. And essentially, I fill out the form. It is best under message to be as descriptive as possible. That's something that's going to help our tech support team complete your ticket more quickly. Tech support is available Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. Eastern all the way up until 3 a.m. Eastern. Tech support tickets are guaranteed to be answered within 1 business day. Depending on the request, if it is a more extensive request, sometimes it can take a little bit longer than that, but very often our tech support team's able to complete tickets within just a few hours. Thank you, everyone, for joining us here today. I want to mention as well that if you have any questions, to feel free to also either give me a call or send me an email. My name is Ryan Clancy, and I'm the Client Success Manager here at Educational Networks. All right, everyone, keep inspiring those future generations, and I look forward to seeing you all again really, really soon. Take care, everybody.